Reconnective healing affects matter, as we witness in the fairly instantaneous physical healings. But it affects changes that go far beyond that. When science first started to try to understand reconnective healing, it quickly became apparent that there was an exchange of information taking place at a level that was obviously there, but not easily definable. There were also tangible and measurable changes in what they called the field effect, and these same changes were seen in experiment after experiment. I'll explain some of these studies in more detail later in this module, but for now, let's talk about the nature of reality. Reality, our physical world, seems to be defined by two things: matter and empty space, or the vacuum, as it's also been referred to. Here I am, standing in digital space, surrounded by colored backgrounds, titles, maybe even some visual effects. What if I clapped my hands and it all went away? Am I standing in empty space? A vacuum? And really, just how empty is a vacuum? That's exactly what many scientists have asked themselves and continue to ask themselves as they are realizing that there is a field of information connecting everything. Originally described by Max Planck when he developed the first quantum theory, the field was then called the ether. Planck borrowed the term from the ancient Greeks and specifically from Aristotle, who described ether as the fifth element: earth, fire, air, and water being the other four. Medieval alchemists gave this fifth element another name: quintessence. And they believed it to be what all the planets and stars were made of, something precious and rare and difficult to possess. We retain in our language the word quintessential, which means the perfect, essential example of something. As in, the quintessential jazz singer, the quintessential marquee cut diamond, the quintessential love song, and of course, the quintessential vanilla ice cream. But back to ether. While Nikola Tesla was a proponent for the ether as the way electromagnetic waves travel, Einstein was against the concept altogether. As a matter of fact, his E equals mc squared practically rules out the existence or usability of the stuff. Proven, disproven, proven, disproven, and now proven again. This is why it is said that nothing really can be proven, only disproven. And yet, what can we say when what had been disproven is suddenly proven again? To science, it has always been about energy. According to Einstein, the field cannot be real because, well, there has to be matter present in order for energy to exist. On the other hand, quantum physics shows that particles simply appear out of nothing and fully charged, so to speak. So every particle that exists has some energy, even at their 0 point. It's what makes atoms stable. Particles are everywhere, everywhere around you, everywhere around me. So let's visualize this. These particles look to be the size of oranges for the sake of seeing them in this animation. And please note that this animation is not to scale, or there would be so much space between these two seeming oranges that two of them wouldn't fit onto your viewing screen. Yet notice how they are all moving about happily doing their own thing. Imagine that we could turn their energy dial down to 0. See how they stop moving? They appear as if they are frozen in space. But if we zoom in on any one of them, look, they're still vibrating. And this vibration creates little fields. It's the combination of all these fields vibrating at 0 point energy that give the field, well, its name. So even when there should be nothing happening here, there's actually a lot of energy in its potential state. That means, given half an incentive, these particles will jump into existence. And there's one more quirk, not quark, to this behavior. Let's talk about photons, the name we give to the particles that make up light, because they are in that permanent, now you see me, now you don't state. It's no easy task to accurately see what they're up to. As a matter of fact, we can either know where they are or how fast they're going. But we can't know both things at the same time. The moment we place our attention on either only its location or only its momentum, we can no longer be fully accurate about either one. We lose sight of its entire potential when we try to focus on just one aspect of it. But once we step back and take in the whole picture, it's apparent that these photons appear and disappear, or are born and then go back into standby mode in infinite permutations, hence the field of infinite potential. This is what is referred to as Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, or what many refer to as the underlying fuzziness of reality. Your choice. This concept has proven so accurate that it is now used to encrypt data transfers and protect it from prying eyes. Very simply put, if data is going from computer A to computer B using what is called quantum encryption or quantum cryptology, the moment anything tries to observe that data stream, the data stream changes. Remember, if you try to observe one thing in particular at a quantum level, the rest of the information becomes fuzzy. This triggers an alarm and stops the data stream to prevent alteration of the data, cutting off a possible interference. It has been already used successfully between banking institutions and at polling stations where voting happens electronically. The field has various names. The ether, 0 point field, 0 point energy field, 0 point quantum field, the quantum field, the field of infinite potential, the field of information, and many more names. Let's examine this last one, the field of information. As I mentioned, science had been looking into the field from an energy point of view, but the more they stood back, the more they allowed its full potential to become apparent. And they noticed yet another interesting thing going on. Particles that seemed to be doing all sorts of random things were somehow communicating amongst themselves, as a particle over here would suddenly exhibit the same behavior or traits as a particle over there. Distance or non-locality did not seem to matter one bit. You see, it turns out that not only are these particles somehow communicating between themselves, but the communication is instantaneous. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, which has been renamed as quantum entanglement. And we will explore this concept a little bit more later on in the module. But nowadays, quantum science finds itself at a new frontier. If this field around everything is constantly communicating within itself, instantly updating all information across all particles, could it be self-aware? The answer is yes. Enter the concept of the conscious universe, the intelligence of the field. Some of our sharpest scientific minds are putting this concept forth as a way of finally unifying two seemingly disparate laws. The laws that govern large objects, such as planets and stars, and the laws that govern quanta, the smallest component of information at a quantum level. Unified field theory is pointing the way to a multiverse, not just one universe, and to infinite dimensions. And it's doing so by moving away from separation and into inclusion, from focused observation into full field awareness, and reconciling seemingly opposing theories. So here we have a self-aware field of potential that somehow interacts with reconnective healing instantly through awareness, affecting changes in potential vibration, photonic activity, and communication. What we in reconnective healing know as energy, light, and information. If you ask me, reconnective healing is the quintessential access to the field and the full potential of reality.